Hello, welcome to another episode of Data Analytics with Excel. In the previous lesson, I informed you that there are 4 steps in data analytics. And before I continue, my name remains Vincent Hope, your instructor. So back to the lesson. So there are 4 main steps in data analytics. We have data collection, data cleaning, data analysis, and data interpretation or visualization. In the previous video, we treated data collection and we also treated data cleaning. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to do the analysis and also do the interpretation or visualization. Let's jump right into it. So if we remember, under data collection, we retrieve the file, examine the nature of the file, we made a duplicate, we created a table, we also renamed the table. We made progress in the data cleaning, we removed duplicates, we worked on the text, and also worked on the numbers. Now, in this lesson on data analysis, we're going to show you how to activate the data analysis toolpack. Now, I go to my Excel and I want to show you how to activate the data analysis toolpack. Well, let me click this option first. Click data. If I come down here, you see that I have what is called the data analytics analysis toolpack. Now, say these are tools for financial and scientific data. This may not be available in your own Excel. So I will show you step-by-step process on how you can activate this tool, where your own may display. It may display the outline, it may display the data tools, sort and filter, but this data analysis portion will not be available. So how do you activate it? The first step is to go to your office button, click your office button. If you don't have office button on your own Excel, you could have a more modern Excel. So all you need to do is to click File. Now when you click File, in this option here, you will see Excel options. But in your own, you will see the option Options. It will be under somewhere below here. So check it, you will see Options. So I'll click Excel option here, but in your own, you click Options. So if you click Excel option, if I click Excel option here, and you also click Options, you will come to this option here, Excel options or Options. Now you look for this, it's the same window in both versions. You look for add-ins. So you click on add-ins. If you click on add-ins, it will say view and manage Microsoft Office add-ins. So you will see the same option here. And then when you look at your right, you will see analysis toolpack. You will also see another one, analysis toolpack VBA. But we are focused on this, the one that just says analysis toolpack. When you select it, make sure you select it. Then you go down with your mouse and come to this option here and click Go. When you click Go, you will see it will say add-ins available. Analysis toolpack VBA, conditional sum wizard, Euro, currency tools, internet assistant, lookup wizard, solve add-in. Now the one we are interested in is the analysis toolpack. If I uncheck it here, I click OK, and I go back to my data, you will discover it's no longer available. So I want to go back. I click my option here, my office button, click my Excel options, click add-ins, select analysis toolpack, click Go, and I will ensure it is checked. I check it, analysis toolpack, and I click OK. You can see the data analysis toolpack is now activated. So you can activate that because you need it to be able to carry out the next step we want to do. So that's how you activate the analysis 2-pack. Now, if I come down here and check what are my options, now we want to carry out descriptive statistic analysis. So how do we do that? Let's go back to our Excel. So the next step to carry that is I can click anywhere in my table or in my data set. Then I go to my data analysis option here. I click data analysis. When I click data analysis, you can see that it has several tools things that you can analyze under data analysis. You can have ANOVA 2-factor with replication, correlation, covariance, descriptive statistics, exponential smoothing, F-stats, Fourier analysis, histogram, moving average, random number generation. But for this lesson, we're interested in descriptive statistics. And I click OK. When I click OK, it brings me the descriptive statistics window. Now, this descriptive statistics window, it brings me this descriptive statistics window. So what do? There is an option here which says input range. So I click the input range. I click on the first option. Before, when we're trying to reduce decimal, we click this option, but this is not the option I'm going to click now. I'm going to click on the RRI. This is the first option. And like I did before, I hold the shift key and I press my right arrow key till I select the end. Right, until I get to VA. Now, still holding the shift key, I also add the control key. So that means I'm holding the shift and the control key together, and I press down arrow once. If I press down arrow once, it selects all the options. Let me repeat the process. I go back, I click on the first option here, RRI, press my shift key, press the right arrow, 1, 2, go continue until I get to VA, which is the last option. I now press my control key without leaving my shift key, so both keys are selected, and I press down arrow once. When I press the down arrow once, it selects all the data I want. Then I press enter. When I press enter, it selects the input range. The input range is now selected. The next thing I do, I'll now say I want the labels, these labels, RRI, SFS, INN, labels on the first row. So I check it. Then another thing I do, I leave the option here, new, is going to display the result in a new worksheet. So this is a new worksheet. I'm going to check summary statistics. Summary statistics, I've checked it. Then I click OK. It will now display a descriptive statistics on a new sheet. Now, this is the descriptive statistics. Let's just take what we have here. Let's take, for example, here we have mean, standard deviation, median, mode, standard deviation. Let me expand it a bit. Standard deviation, standard error here, standard deviation, sample variation, kurtosis, skewness, range, maximum, minimum. Now, if I take the depth here, the mean depth for all the banks that were assessed is $38.78 million. If it's in dollars, that's the chart was. Then if we look at the mode, the highest occurring depth is 24 million or 24 billion, as it may be. Then we have the range. What is the range? The difference between the highest and the lowest. The range of depth between the highest debtor is 47. So between the highest depth bank and the highest depth bank with the highest depth and the lowest bank is 47 billion or 47 million, as the case may be. Then we have the sum of the depth. Total depth is $228,775 million or billion dollars, as the case may be. Then the number of banks assessed is 742 banks. 742 banks. So this just gives you a brief using normal statistical analysis. So we have done one descriptive statistics. Now let's move on. The next thing we're going to do now is how to use pivot tables. This is very important. Now, using pivot tables, we're going to see how to use rows and values, insert filters, sorting, duplicate pivot table, and the rest of it. Now, but let's go on how do we insert a pivot table. We go back to the Excel, go back to the work. So I want to insert a pivot table. So I click anywhere here, and I click insert menu, this insert menu, and I click the pivot table. I click pivot table. Now, remember, we named this table bank table. If you can remember in the first video, this is bank table. I click OK. If I click OK, you can see my pivot table opened in a new sheet. Now, what you notice here is that choose fields you want to add to the report. So we have all the columns of the titles of the sheet. On worksheet, look at banks, year, RRI, and the rest of it. All this one are now available here. So countries, banks, and the rest. We have this 4 columns: report filter, custom labels, row labels, and values. Now, what do we do? Now, let's take option 1. We're going to using rows and values. We're going to take the banks against the RRI. So now, let's use pivot tables. Now, these are the bank column. I click on the bank column and I move it down to row labels. I click it here. I bring it here. You can see all the banks are now displayed here. Okay. Now, I'll now take the real interest rate, which is RRI, click it and put it as the values. If I put it as the values, you discover now that the banks here in this data, we're having just the banks and the real interest rate for each bank. The Afriland First Bank, the real interest rate is 25.08.80%. Banco.Africa Occidental is 4.599%. Banco Uni BDUSA is 4.9. So you can see it gives you a summary of the banks and their real interest rate. Now you see that your data is beginning to make sense. Now, so what can we do with this? The next thing we can do, we can filter and also what? Sort. So what we want to filter, let's come to the banks here, the bank's name. I click on any of the column I want. I right click it. If I right click it and I come to filter and I select top 10, I want to see the top 10 banks with the highest real interest rate. I click top 10. So you can see top 10, you can select top or bottom, but we are going for the top. You can see it's 10, you can increase it to 15. If we increase it to 15, then by the sum of their real interest rate, because we are dealing with several years, so we click OK. Now you can see it will take the first top 15 banks. You can see it has reduced the data. So if your MD or your boss wants to know the first 15 banks with the highest interest rate, there you have it. Now, another thing we can do, we can sort this out so that we know the one that has the highest or the lowest. Initially, we used this, we right-clicked here, and we got filter. But now we are going to right-click on the values, right-click it, and we go to sort. Then we can select sort largest to smallest. Now, sort largest to smallest, you see that? You see now that Bank Sahel Saharin for Investment La Commerce has a real interest rate of 157. NSIA Bank has 98. Aura Bank has 58. Now, if you discover, so the bank with the highest interest rate is Bank Sahel for Investment La Commerce. So you can get an idea using the pivot table. So you can see the power of pivot table. Now, let's continue. We can now duplicate this pivot table. So how do I do that? How do I duplicate the pivot table? So I can copy here, copy everything here. If I copy or highlight, I highlight everything here, right click it and copy. If I copy, you can see it's highlighted. If I come down a bit, come to this third column here, right click and click paste. If I click paste here, now I have it here. I have it on this menu here. You can see I have the same. Then I can press escape to remove this highlight. Press escape. So I have the same data here, two same pivot table, but this is not the data I want here. I want another data. So since I've selected this, I'm working with this pivot table. I go to the rows, right click on this point. You see where it says remove field. I click remove field. Then I also come here to under the values and I say remove what? Field. Now I want to put new fields in this pivot table. Let's see the fields that we want to work with from our manual. We want to work with countries and banks. We also want to work with banks and debts. So let's work. So I want countries and banks. So I bring it here. I drag it here. So it is countries. You can see the countries is now showing here. I also want the banks. I put the banks here. Now you see the banks here. So these are the count of banks. So now you can see from this pivot table the number of banks accessed in Togo is 84. Number of banks accessed in Benin is 77. Number of banks accessed in Burkina Faso is 99. I can do something better with this. I can right click this on the number column and still sort it out. I say largest to smallest. Now if you look at it now, Côte d'Ivoire has 161 banks. This is the banks that have the highest assessment number of banks. This is the country that has the highest number of banks assessed. Senegal 140, Mali 91, Burkina Faso 91. The country with the least bank access is Guinea-Bissau. So you see your data is now making more and more sense. Now I can also go further, remove still these two. Now, but one thing I want to note before we go further, if you look at this is count of banks, count based on the number of years. Now you can change the value here. If you click here, you see value field settings. I click it. Now you see count of banks. I can select sum. I click OK. It says 0. Now let me select another thing. Value settings. I select average, for example. Click OK. It gives me an error. I'm trying to show you what is important here is to show you that these values here can change. If we have the maximum, for example, I click OK, it still gives me 0. Now, when I use it on another one, you will see how it works. So now let me remove this field here, remove this field here. Now, I said we're going to check also banks with debts. Let's know the banks and their debts. So I click here, I bring in banks here, and I look for the debts. Click this and I bring it here, debts. So these are the banks and their debts. Afriland First Bank 220, Banco Africa 394. I can also sort this and I filter this, and let's take the first 10. If I take the first 10, I click top 10, I click OK. If I take OK, then you can see the top 10 selected. If I select the top 10, then I can also right click on this and sort it out. I can say sort largest to smallest. Largest to smallest, I sort it out. So the bank with the largest amount of debt is Bank Syrian Poor Investment Le Commerce. NISA Bank has 808. Aura Bank has 590. You can see it now as it goes down. Now what I told you before about the values, now this is sum of debts. If I change the value field here and I change count or I change average, I click OK. You can see now the value of the average. Now this is average debt. Previously, in the value field, we had sum. So the sum gave me 1639. Now when I selected the average gave me a different value for the number of years. You can see 56, 56. So this is the average debt for each bank based on the calculations from 2013 to 2019. So you can change these values here. Now another thing I want to do is to also add a filter. If you want to add a filter, I want to know per each year. I want to drill down with the number of years in each, select the value for each year. So if I click on this year, I bring it to report filter. If I bring it to report filter, you can see now the year has appeared here. If I select this, and I can say select multiple items, okay, all the years are selected. So it's from 2013 to 2019. Let me unselect all of them. Okay, supposing I just want for 2014, I click 2014, I click OK. 2014 is the average depth is 57.7. Let me change this value here to sum of depth so that we can see it better. Value setting, sum of depth, OK. Now, 2014 for Bank Sahel is 186, NISA Bank is 91. Now let me select this and uncheck this and select for 2019. I click OK. You see now it has changed. So this filter is helping your data to be able to drill down year per year. Bank Sahel is 279, NISA Bank is 143, Aura Bank is 1043. If you select another year, remove 2019, let me select 2017, select, you can see it changes also. So this is the power of pivot tables. It can help you do an analysis, a detailed analysis of your data. So we are done with data analysis. So the next step now, after we added our columns to filters, we are done with the data analysis. Remember, it's a 4-step process: data collection, data cleaning, data analysis. Then we do what is called interpretation, which is to explain the results, which is also called data visualization. So data interpretation or visualization, we have to plot charts. Your MD, your boss, is not really concerned with all the analysis you have done. What he or she is concerned with is the interpretation. So the interpretation, you have to present it in charts and visuals that they can understand. So what do? We can now, from this analysis we've done, we can decide to highlight one of the pivot tables, highlight it, then click Insert, then select any of the charts, whether it's column, line, pie, bar, area, scatter, depending on what you do. So let's select pie. I click on pie. I select this option, exploded pie, select this option. Now you can see this is my pie chart here. Let me drag it to this side so that it can make more sense. Now from this chart, you can quickly see that, let me close this, let me move this a bit, or close this. You can quickly see that Bank Sahel has the highest real interest rates, followed by this NISA Bank. You can see. Now let's do another chart for this. We can highlight this one too. Highlight these banks from this point, highlight it. Okay. Then click Insert. We can select a column chart. Then can select any of these options here, but let me use this. I select this. Now I bring it here too. I close this. You can see that also Bank Sahel has this highest depth, followed by NSA Bank, followed by Aura Bank, so followed by Campaign Bancaire. This is a French name. So, but these are, you get the gist. So this is simply how you can visualize what you have done in Excel. You can decide to change the formats. You can see different formats here, different color types. If you also select this, it also has different, you can change the color. So you can play around with all the options that are being displayed. So if you go back now, you can see now that we have completed the 4-step process. We have completed data collection. We have completed data cleaning. We have done data analysis, and we have done interpretation. So that with this now, your MD or your company can make better and smarter decisions. So you have come to the finality, or for the final point of how to carry out data analysis with Excel. I hope you enjoyed the process. Thank you for watching. Do have a blessed day.